My name is Bella, I'm 20 years old. Please learn from my mistake. I hope every young lady, especially those who depend solely on their rich Yahoo boyfriends, learn something from my story. My life was ruined because of carelessness and my desperate hunger for money. Don't throw away your pad, Bella. I'll help you with that, he always said. Why? I asked him curiously the first time. He ran his fingers through his hair and said, because I'm your boyfriend. It's my duty to help you with things like that. I looked at him with suspicion, but I loved him so much. Who was I to doubt him? So I would just hand him my used pad and go back to the room, believing he was simply helping me dispose of it. Pablo, my boyfriend, was very generous. He bought me the latest iPhone, took me shopping at the end of every month, sometimes right after I finished my period. Yes, Pablo is a Yahoo boy, but I loved how hard-working he seemed. I always prayed he'd land a big client so he could keep taking care of me. Everything seemed to be going smoothly. Pablo always handled my menstrual pads and made me feel special. He even kept track of my ovulation cycle and knew exactly when my period would start. Whenever I was close to seeing my period, Pablo would call me over to his place. I'd spend about a week with him, and during that time, he would pamper me with so much love and attention. I thought this was what love looked like. A caring boyfriend who spent money on me and always wanted me around. But then Pablo started asking for something unusual, something shocking. He asked that we have sex during my period. I hesitated and told him I wasn't comfortable with that. At first, I didn't want to annoy him, so I gave in. I told myself it's only for a few minutes. I'll clean up afterwards. But what began as something small during my period soon turned into something strange, something that made my skin crawl. Every time Pablo and I were intimate while I was on my period, the bedsheets would be soaked in blood, and afterwards I'd feel this heavy, uneasy feeling inside me, like something was deeply wrong. Still, I stayed. The thought of Pablo getting angry scared me. Ever since we started dating back in my 200-level days at the university, my life had completely changed. There was the thrill of stepping out of his expensive car on campus, the pride of sitting beside him while other girls looked on, the endless gifts, the money, the attention. I felt like royalty. My mother had warned me more than once to stay away from him, but I wouldn't listen. She just didn't understand. She couldn't take away my happiness. Even my old friends drifted away. They couldn't keep up with my new lifestyle, and honestly, I didn't care. One night after we'd finished, I tried to clean up, but Pablo stopped me. He smiled and said, "Let me do it for you." I laughed, a little embarrassed. "What kind of love is this?" He guided me into the bathroom. I wanted to sit on the toilet, but he told me to sit on a small bathing bucket instead. Then he began to pour water over me, slowly washing the blood away into that same bucket. Something about it felt off, so I asked why he was collecting the bloody water. He gave me that same calm smile and said, "Don't worry, I'll take care of it." At the time, I didn't think too much of it. Pablo had always seemed caring. Too caring, maybe, but it became a habit. Every month he insisted on washing me himself, and each time he made sure to collect every drop of the water that washed off my blood. He never let me flush it or pour it away. He'd take the bucket outside quietly, disappear for a few minutes, and then come back acting normal, smiling like nothing happened. I should have asked questions, I should have run, but I was blinded by the lifestyle, the comfort, the pride of being different. Too scared to lose him, too drunk on the illusion of love. And then the nightmares began. Every night I'd wake up shaking, my body cold with sweat. Something dark was starting to follow me. Every night I'd wake up drenched in fear, strange dreams, whispered voices. I'd see shadows holding things that belonged to me, things that should have been private. I started getting weak, my skin looked dull, I lost my appetite. Even my monthly cycle became longer, heavier, more uncomfortable. I once confided in my roommate, Blessing. She gave me a long look and asked quietly, "Bella, are you sure Pablo isn't using your personal things for something else?" I laughed at first, brushing it off, but that question didn't leave my mind. That night I searched online, meaning of someone keeping your used items. Spiritual implications of a man asking for menstrual materials. The results made my chest tighten. There were stories, Girls pampered by wealthy boyfriends who later discovered they were being used for dark, spiritual things. Everything matched too closely. I dropped my phone, shaking. Could that be me? Was Pablo really doing something behind my back? Still, my heart refused to believe it, so I decided to watch him. The next time I stayed over, I pretended to fall asleep. Hours passed. Nothing. No whispers. No movement. Just Pablo's steady breathing beside me. Maybe I was wrong, I told myself. Maybe my fears were silly. But the unease didn't go away. The next morning, I finally asked him, "Pablo, why do you always insist on washing me when I'm on my period? And why do you take the water away yourself?" He looked at me for a moment, then laughed softly. "Babe, you're overthinking. I do it because I love you. Isn't that what you want? A man who takes care of you?" But something in his tone didn't feel right. The way his eyes lingered on mine, it felt like he was testing me. Later that evening, he showed up at my hostel, and behind him, a brand new red car. Crowds gathered. Phones came out. "It's for you," he said, handing me the keys. I smiled for the cameras, but deep down I felt a knot tighten in my stomach. He was giving me gifts every time I started to doubt him, and for a while it worked. A week after that gift, something terrifying began. I started bleeding unexpectedly, not from my cycle. It came suddenly, too heavy, too strange. My roommate rushed me to the clinic. The doctors ran tests, but everything came back normal. No infection, no internal problem. The doctor looked worried. "Medically, you're fine," he said, "but something isn't adding up. You might need to pray. These kinds of cases sometimes go beyond science." I froze. Beyond science. When I left the hospital, my phone rang. It was my mother. "Bella," she said softly, voice trembling. "Come home. I had a terrible dream about you." I forced a smile, even though tears filled my eyes. "Mummy, I'm okay. Don't worry." But I knew she was right. Something dark was wrapping around my life. That evening, Pablo called. "Babe, come over. Let me take care of you." Despite everything, I went. He welcomed me with a warm smile and drew me a bath. But when he poured something from a small brown bottle into the water, it turned a faint rusty color. I asked what it was. He said, "Just herbs, baby, to help you relax." I nodded, pretending to believe him, but my heart pounded as I noticed how intently he stared at the water. That night, I couldn't sleep, so I pretended to. Around 2 a.m., he entered the room. I could hear him whispering softly near the bed. It wasn't English. It wasn't prayer. My chest tightened. He stayed there for a while, then walked out quietly. By morning, I couldn't hold it in anymore. "Pablo, what's happening? Why do you do all these things? What were you saying last night when you thought I was asleep?" He frowned. "Bella, you're tired. You need rest. You're imagining things." But I knew what I'd heard. "Pablo, if you're hiding something from me, I'll find out," I said quietly. He didn't argue. Instead, he opened a small box and handed it to me. Inside was a gold bracelet shining under the light. "Just a gift," he said softly, "to remind you that I love you." It looked beautiful, but heavy, too heavy. When I wore it, it didn't feel like love. It felt like a chain. That night, I made up my mind. I was going to leave. I packed my bag quickly, shaking as I folded my clothes. But before I could finish, I felt strange, weak, dizzy. Something was wrong with my body. I stumbled toward the bathroom, breathing fast. What I saw made me scream. Something unnatural was happening to me. Something I couldn't explain, something that made every hair on my skin stand. I collapsed, trembling, calling out for help. Pablo rushed in. For a second, I thought he'd help me, but he didn't. He just stood there, watching me on the floor, calm, quiet, and expressionless, like he already knew. Tears streamed down my face as I whispered, "What have you done to me?"